We're in a very interesting era in which we're having to have conversations and define what is the conservative movement, what do we actually believe, what do we not believe, what should we accept, what should we reject. And so I think you're going to actually see something of a rigorous debate, I hope, over the next couple of years. Because what does this look like?
I have to say, Jillian, I think Democrats are handling the 2016 loss so well. I think that they have finally come to that conclusion they've lost, and I'm being deeply sarcastic. This is one of the greatest political tantrums ever.
The thing that's crazy to me is Dems are willing to destroy all of these norms because Orange Man bad. If you think about what's taken place over the last 2.5 years, Russiagate, collusion, Ukrainegate, all of this stuff, it's about one thing, Tucker. It's about policy differences. They cannot stand the fact that they are not in power and that Trump has a different approach to governing not only domestically, but on foreign policy as well. And so now their new approach in all of this, we shall impeach all things. We'll impeach Kavanaugh. We'll impeach Trump. Based off what? Nothing. Policy differences.
The thing that's pretty staggering about all of this, should Biden win, God forbid that he does, we're not going to have free and fair elections again. I mean, you talked about amnesty last night for tens of millions, but potentially tens of millions of illegal immigrants. You tack on universal mail-in ballots, free and fair elections are over. And people have asked me, can we always say this is the most important election of our lifetime? I think you have to go back to 1860 to fully understand the implications of 2020. I mean, Donald Trump is the last bulwark for the Republic, and if he doesn't win, it's a descent into darkness.
And I've been hearing that Amy Coney Barrett, who is I'm a big fan of, in fact, I prefer her over Kavanaugh, might be on the inside track for this nomination. I think she'd be a solid choice. She's still in her 40s. She's on the 7th Circuit right now, has proven her conservative credentials, has a wonderful story, obviously the mother of 7 kids, but is respected on both sides of the aisle. So I would say Amy Coney Barrett, and I think they will move, and I hope they do move, Tucker, before the election.
People always ask me, what was it like to have Jim Ryan as your father? And I would always tell them, well, he's my dad.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't probably till 11 or 12 that it kind of clicked. Hey, this guy's kind of famous. But I tell people all the time that the honest, decent, kind, grateful, humble person you see in public, that's who he is in private. And he's taught me so many lessons. Be honest, be humble, be kind, which I struggle with sometimes, Pete. I'm very pugilistic on TV, but it's aspirational. But also perspective. I mean, this is one of the great things about my dad. He was the #1 in the world, and I tell people this all the time, Pete, of all the people in the world that walk the halls of Congress, that have been in Congress, that are in D.C., there's very few people of them that can say, I was absolutely the #1 best in the billions of people. I was truly #1 at what I did. My dad could do that, but he was kind and honest and gracious. Wow. But he had perspective. And the thing about that he always tells people is this: pursue greatness. Pursue something that you think exceeds your grasp. But remember, in that pursuit, you're doing it for God's glory, right? That's the eternal perspective. The applause of men fades, but the word of God is forever. And that's one of the most important lessons he's taught me.